Our colleagues gave you 15 cybersecurity tips for parenting.
And we really enjoyed bringing you 15 cybersecurity tips for work from home and homeschooling.
Please keep in mind that cybersecurity is a task for every day.
Here are our tips 16 until 30. Be cyber smart. Hi Henry. I hear a lot about social engineering and phishing, but I still do not understand what it is. Can you explain it?
Let me give you an example to make it easier. Let us say I want to trick you into believing that I am authorized to make changes to your computer system.
That sounds spooky. How would you do that?
I could start by searching online for companies that have implemented work from home. Or I can pretend to be from a local newspaper and simply call the front desk and under the story of doing a report on home office ask them. As soon as I find a company with a home office policy, I start searching for employees of that company and I find your profile.
Okay, now it is getting interesting.
But I still have to trick you into believing me, so I find a couple of more people from your company so I can casually drop their names to make you believe it is all legit. And I need 2 or 3 names from people in the IT department.
How does that help you?
I would, for example, call you and tell you that I am from the IT department and mention some names you might know, or say so and so give me the instruction to call you. And casually mention that I just completed the same for another person in your company, mentioning their name. Or I could drop you an email with a similar story and using information I collected from the internet to make you believe this is all okay.
I can imagine that people fall for that, but what does it bring you?
For example, I can convince you to install a program that puts your computer under my control while you believe that you are doing something which is needed for the company. Or convince you to send me confidential information which I can use later on.
How can I protect myself and my company against this?
Step 1 is to double check and questions everything. Step 2 is the callback method. Do not allow someone access to your system, instead call the IT department directly and ask for a confirmation. And step 3, ask yourself why. Why should you suddenly do something entirely different from your normal way of working? Why should you install something yourself when normally the IT department does that? Things like that. Stay alert. Be cyber smart.
I hear a lot about VPN, but I don't understand what it is. Can you explain it, please?
VPN stands for Virtual Private Network, and it creates a secured and encrypted connection between your device and the VPN provider. That can be an outside VPN provider, or it can be the VPN solution of the company or organization you work for. VPN is designed to make sure that the connection is encrypted and cannot be intercepted by hackers or spies. VPN makes hacking the connecting a lot more difficult. But it does not protect your devices and not even the VPN provider. We always have to be careful with believing something is perfectly safe because there is some technology involved. And to be honest, VPN is somewhat outdated technology. There are already much better alternatives available. Let me show you how it works and what the pros and cons are. VPN makes a secure and encrypted connection from your device. Think of it like a tunnel. All your internet connections go through this tunnel. At the other side of the tunnel is the VPN provider. From that VPN provider, your internet connections travel like they normally do. It could be a connection inside the company's network but also to all outside internet places. And that is where the downsides of VPN start to kick in. All traffic goes through that tunnel. Now keep in mind that it is not just you but also your coworkers. In many cases this leads to congestion and latency. The next challenge, especially when companies have their own VPN solution, is that this VPN solution has to handle all the encryption. For a large organization, this takes a lot of computing power. And within the VPN connection, we lose all the network management options. These options allow us to make, for example, video connections high priority so you have the best possible quality.
So that means VPN is good but not the best, am I right?
Correct. VPN is better than no encryption at all but not the best solution. Most cloud-based platforms already offer completely encrypted connections by default, like end-to-end encryption. And they have enormous infrastructure behind their platforms which eliminate the bottlenecks and delays. I recommend to only use VPN when there is no better alternative available. And I also recommend to use VPN instead of no encryption at all.
Thank you for explaining that. Let us all be cyber smart.
Homeschooling requires a lot of technology, and puts the responsibility for cybersecurity with parents and kids. What do you recommend for parents?
I recommend to create an administrator account on your computer which you only use for system administration tasks. Then create a normal user account without administrator rights for each person in the household that will use the computer. When something needs to be installed or changed, the administrator is needed.
That is smart. We do the same as IT administrators.
Next, make sure that you have an antivirus suite installed and that the firewall is activated. Do the settings and checks with the administrator account. I also recommend to use parental controls for the kids. Windows and Mac OS X already have these features built in, but you can also install additional software. And always do these changes from the administrator account.
That makes a lot of sense. Do you have any recommendations for parents when they need software for their kids and homeschooling tasks?
I recommend to look at oldergeeks.com. They have a lot of free software and they always check that there is not malware or unwanted advertisement. And don't forget, always install software using the administrator account.
Not every household will have notebooks and tablets for the kids to participate in homeschooling. When you have unused hardware laying around, please look at an organization for kids where you can donate.
With a lot of us working from home, or working remotely, and with the expectation that this could become the new normal, what recommendations do you have?
Let me start by saying do not share or store work information on your private accounts and devices. I understand that this might be convenient, but it is a big risk.
Why is that such a risk?
The information you store or share on private accounts or devices is no longer under the control of the IT and security department of your company, and in most cases they have much stronger security controls. It is also a risk for quality management, but the biggest risk is that it can be stolen, modified, leaked, etc.
Okay, got that. What else do you recommend?
When you are working remote, for example from a coffee shop, do not use public Wi-Fi unless you have VPN activated. And always be cautious about shoulder surfing where someone reads the information by looking at your screen. And whatever you do, lock your devices when you are not using them.
Those are great tips, and I am sure we will have more tomorrow. Can you please explain why updating apps and devices is so important?
Updates and patches for your apps, operating systems, and devices can give you new features and solve errors in the previous versions. But much more important are the security patches. New vulnerabilities are discovered every day, and cyber criminals are waiting to exploit them. By keeping all your tech updated and patched, you do your part to keep them out.
Can a devices and apps not do that themselves?
Not yet, and in some cases the users and owners even decide to switch option that off. I hope that in the future every supplier must deliver updates to all sold tech automatically.
Okay, so it is up to me. Where do I start and what should I pay attention to?
Start with knowing all devices that have a network connection. You will be surprised to find more than you thought you had. And don't forget your Wi-Fi router. For each devices, check if you can activate automatic updates, make sure that there are still updates, and when needed, install the latest updates. Do the same for your apps. When you have tech which does not allow you to automatically install updates, you need to check them regularly yourself. Let us say once per month. And when there are no longer patches available, you should consider to stop using it.
It looks like I will be busy with that. See you tomorrow.
Now that you do most of your schooling virtually and the kids are joining your classes from home, how do you take care of backups of your documents and the homework of kids?
I started by following your advice and create a cloud storage account. It is set up so it automatically saves all my documents to the cloud. That also means I can work from my computer, my tablet and my phone whenever I want.
That is very smart. I am glad you like it and happy you followed my advice.
I made a shared folder in my cloud space for each pupil where they can save their homework. It works really good because I can see all their work and the other kids do not have access to it. I also have a shared folder for each group where I can share assignments. I made this read-only and only the kids in each group can access it.
That is great because when we share data from our cloud space, we still have to take care of privacy. Especially with kids.
Our school likes it so much that we will set it up for all teachers. Thank you for helping me sort this out and create a cloud solution which automatically stores all my information and allows me to share homework and assignments with my pupils in a safe and secure way. Now that I do homeschooling, I am using my own computer for work, but I am not a computer specialist. How can I make sure that everything is safe?
We see that a lot during work from home, but it is also very common with startups. We call it bring your own device, and there are some ground rules to keep in mind. As always, start with updates for your devices, operating system and apps. Make sure that you have an antivirus suite which is updated.
We always need that, right?
Next, make sure to keep work information and private information separated. And now the ball is with the company or organization you work for. They should make sure that you have a place where you can store your work information, and take care of backups. The smart solution is when the company offers you a virtualized desktop. That means you connect with your device but you are actually working within that virtual computer systems. And the beauty of that is that you can work from your computer or from your phone, just as long as you have an internet connection.
That sounds very interesting. But for example, in my situation, my school doesn't have that yet.
I am aware that not all companies and organizations are ready for work from home, or even better, work from anywhere. But they should start planning for it. Until then, the most important part is that you separate work and private, and as you explained yesterday, cloud platforms can really help with that.
I hear a lot about support scams and that worries me. What is it, and how can I protect myself?
Support scams are indeed a big problem. Let us start by how these criminals works. They will send you, for example, a text message that there's some problem with your account and that you need to click on the link they provided. Making a text message look like it comes from a company is very easy. Or they will call you and tell you a similar story and try to convince you into giving details about your account, or even give them remote access with one of the many support tools. These criminals have different goals. Some will just try to get your account details so they can sell them to other criminals. Others will actually try to gain access to your account and commit their crimes directly. That can be access to confidential information, or log into your account to install malware on the company's systems, steal money from your bank account, or spread malicious links and software from your email account. And much more.
That sounds scarier than Halloween. How do I know if it is real or a scammer?
Professional organizations never send you such messages or make calls in which they ask for passwords, etc. when there is a real problem, like for example a cybersecurity issue. They will send you, for example, an email or message saying that you should log into your account and change your password, without links. And something very important to always remember, these organizations respond when you reported a problem, and give a clear reference to that problem. Scammers do not know the details, so they are very generic and try to make you believe that you should give them information.
So how should I respond when I get such a call or message?
Start with never clicking on the links in messages or emails. When you get a call like this, hang up and call the company directly to verify it. And never ever give your password to anyone.
We hear a lot about the risk of email attachments. The experts tell us we should never open email attachments. But I get a lot of emails with documents which I need for my work, and I assume others do as well. I cannot ignore those emails and documents. What should I do?
I fully understand what you mean. There is a lot of good advice available, but some of that is simply not practical. Let us start with some ground rules.
I really like your ground rules. They are very practical and help me a lot to be cyber smart.
Thanks. The first thing you need to look at is the type of attachment. When a document is sent to you as a program or archive, assume it is malicious and delete the email immediately. You should also always check who sent you this attachment. Is it someone you know? Are you expecting this attachment? As always, do some sanity checks for yourself before you touch an attachment. When it all appears to be okay, and you want to use the attachment, do not open it directly. Store the attachment on your device or cloud space, which will trigger a quick scan from your antivirus suite. To be on the safe side, do an explicit scan of the file before opening it.
Is there a better alternative than sending attachments via email?
That depends a lot on the available work environment. When your company offers a cloud space or network storage, it is much better to use that because all security measures are enforced on those platforms. But that does not work when this is not available. Some suggest that sending links to shared cloud storage is better, but I disagree with that because nowadays the majority of malicious software is spread through links. To answer your question, there is no 100% safe method to share files. Everyone needs to be alert and be cyber smart.
Some people say that using common sense is the best way to defend yourself against scammers. Is that true?
It would be great if it was that simple. Scammers work a lot with emotional manipulation in which they influence how you will respond. The moment you respond to their tricks is the moment they have the initiative. You become reactive and that is what they exploit. They use all kinds of tricks to make sure that you keep following their script and do what they want you to do. Common sense is no recipe for success because common sense can be anything. Such statements are even a risk on their own because they downplay the risks. Just be smart, nothing will happen is not the right attitude.
So what should I do to protect myself?
The best thing to do is of course not respond at all. But scammers are very good in hiding their intentions until it is too late. So you might fight yourself in the script of a scammer. As soon as someone tries to pressure you to do something which is not normal, like pay an amount or give access to your account, the first thing you must do is stop. Stop and think. Break that script. Give your gut feeling time to kick in, and always validate. Call back to check, ask questions to another person. But most importantly, get out of the reactive mode.
Can you tell us the most important steps to prevent problems like losing all my data?
The most important thing is to make regular backups. And with regular I mean really regular. When you do that once per month, it means you can still lose all data since your last backup and that could be a few weeks ago. Better do it much more often. And try to make it automated.
How should I do that?
For example, on your phone you can set it to automatically synchronize to a cloud account. You can also do that on your PC by setting up automatic synchronization to the cloud. One thing you have to take care of is that you have enough storage in your cloud solution. And very important, make sure that your cloud solution is protected with a strong password and multi-factor authentication.
But what if I cannot use a cloud solution, for example when it is too expensive when I have a lot of data?
An affordable alternative is an external USB disk which you only use to make backups. But you do have to make sure that this disk is encrypted, and you also have to make sure that you store it in a different place. And keep in mind that there is no automatic backup to this disk. So the longer you wait, the more data you risk losing when something happens.
Do you have any other tips for us?
Yes. Always remember that prevention is better than repairing. Keep your accounts secured with encryption and multi-factor authentication, and keep your devices and apps updated.
Let us assume that we get hacked or someone stole our data. What should we do?
The first step is to not deny it and act immediately. When it is related to your work, inform the responsible IT experts immediately and follow the rules. When it is on your private accounts, you must immediately take steps to stop it. What you need to do depends on what was hacked, but let us go through some options. When it is, for example, your email account, immediately try to change your password when that is still possible. Inform the provider about the hack and ask them to take all necessary steps to give you back control. Most email providers have good process in place to help you. And take note of when you noticed it, how, which steps you took, etc. I recommend to inform the authorities. Even when you will not be able to help you, they will use the information to track hackers and stop them.
And what about social media accounts?
Unfortunately, most social media platforms do very little to support their customers when they are hacked. And what makes it even more complicated is that hackers are selling stolen accounts very fast. But still follow the same steps and inform the platform. Sometimes it helps when you remind them a few times.
I know that ransomware is a problem and I should make sure that I am protected. But what should I do in case I still get ransomware on my system?
When it is your work device, call the IT department immediately and follow their instructions. When it is your own device, switch it off and make sure it is no longer able to connect to other devices. Do not use your backup until your system is cleaned. You can check nomoreransom.org to see if there already is a solution for this type of ransomware. If so, make sure to follow the instructions and get help when you are not sure. In many cases you will have to clean your system with a complete new installation. When you do not know how to make a new setup of your device, contact an expert to do it for you. When your device is cleaned, you can retrieve your data from your backup, but not before that.
So, you are saying I should not pay?
My first recommendation is to not pay, but that is easy for me to say. What if all your family pictures are gone and you have no backup? But paying is also no guarantee that you will get your data back. And without precaution, it can happen again. So please always keep in mind that prevention is better than repairing. Keep your devices and apps updated, protect your accounts, and make regular backups.
Right. Be cyber smart. You told us to review the security settings of our Wi-Fi router. Why is that so important?
Our Wi-Fi router is basically the first line of defense between the internet and all your devices that connect to it. Start with making sure that the latest patches are installed. Next, you need to review the security settings. One thing you need to take a good look at is external access to your Wi-Fi router. Turn that off. You also need to make sure that your Wi-Fi router is not using the default username and password. I also recommend to restrict connections to known devices, so only devices you have authorized can connect to your Wi-Fi.
That all sounds very technical. Isn't there an easier way?
I understand that this sounds very technical, but once you get familiar with your Wi-Fi router it is not as complicated as it sounds. But I can understand that this is not for everyone, so when you are not sure about it, please ask an expert to help you out with this. It's definitely very important to take care of. More than half of all the private Wi-Fi routers are not secure and easy targets for hackers.
Thank you for this tip. I really didn't know how important the security of my Wi-Fi router is, and I have never looked at it. You know who I will call when I cannot figure it out myself.
One thing we do not speak enough about is bullying. And I believe that also belongs to cybersecurity. Do you agree?
I definitely agree with you. Bullying in real life is a big problem, and cyberbullying is even worse. So yes, let us add it to our cybersecurity tips.
What do you recommend to victims of cyberbullying?
I want all victims of cyberbullying to remember these 3 golden rules. Rule number 1. You are not alone. Rule number 2. Silence is no cure, speak up. And rule number 3. Nobody has the right to bully you. There is nothing that justifies that you are being bullied.
That is so strong. What should a victim of cyberbullying do?
The most important step is to end the silence. Speak to someone, and get help. That can be your family. For kids it starts of course with telling your parents and showing them what is happening. Most schools, and also many companies, have counselors to help with solving this. And when needed, inform the police when it goes too far or doesn't stop. And remember, you are not alone, silence is no cure, and nobody has the right to do this to you.
I agree with that. Most cyberbullies believe they can get away with it, because they think they can hide behind internet profiles. And they try to bring in as many bullies as possible to harass the victim. Silence is no cure, you are so right.
The first step to end cyberbullying is to end the silence. And when you know that someone is being bullied, do not join the bullies. Stand with the victims. End cyberbullying. Be cyber smart.